like on a weekly basis? Rick, you don't email anyone, you don't text anyone. Come on, all your hands should be up. Right? Okay. So, we found out from like Mr. V and stuff that this feels very formal. I don't like it. That some people aren't emailing people properly, and I mean maybe it's just out of laziness or you just don't know how. So we're going to talk about how to properly use written communication. Who's coming in? All right. So it's 2 pieces of paper. I'm sorry. I know we couldn't double-sided. So the first thing is watch your tone. I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to talk. So when you're emailing someone or texting a professional, I mean, I don't know how many times you're going to text someone, but just watch how you're coming off. You might not mean to, but you might come off a little rude. And you don't want that because, you know, through text message, you could be like texting a friend and they're like, why did she just say that? Like, that's weird. Why did she? That sounds mean. So just make sure you're saying what you need to say in a friendly way. And then look out for potential misunderstandings. So obviously, reread what you write and make sure that like what you're saying makes sense. And that they'll be able to understand what you're saying. Because I know sometimes I'm reading an email and I'm like, I have no idea what they're saying or what they're trying to say. And it's kind of awkward because you're going to be like, hey, you just emailed me. I don't know what you mean. Can you be more specific? And then using a style guide. This is more for like long emails. Like, just make sure you're not texting, or like make sure the style you're using makes sense. Like if you're texting like, or not texting, emailing like a CEO of a company, you should probably use proper English. Obviously don't use slang. Make sure you're writing in a style that's easy to read and makes sense to who you're talking to. And again with this, know your audience and your medium. So like if you're texting, like Mr. V texts me all the time, we're buds. If he's texting me, I know I don't have to be super proper, but if you're not that close to someone, always just, I would say always be proper because they're gonna take you more seriously. Stick to the point. When you're talking, like, don't go off on tangents. Like, if you need to say a few things, say what you need to say and just send it instead of going off and maybe confusing the reader. And then always edit and proofread. You don't want, like, an autocorrect, something happened, it doesn't make sense. Like, always reread what you're writing. I know, like, it's stupid, like, you're writing it, you know what it says, it makes sense. Sometimes you gotta read things out loud to make sure it makes sense. So, yep, always edit and proofread what you write.
Okay. So in front of you, there's a packet. There should be a packet. There's 3 different emails. There's a well-written email, an okay email, and then a poorly written email. So when you're writing an email, always make sure that like you have a subject. I know it'll ask you if you don't have a subject to put in one, but that just gives the person receiving it like what the email's about and gives them like an idea of what to look for. Greetings, and then like ending it is a great way to send an email because it's a nice thing to do. And then like Amelia said, just watch your punctuation, your tone. You never want to send things in all caps.
Do you want to talk about why the emails are that? About each one?
So if you turn to the second page, here they do use all caps, but you never want to do that. And then emojis. When you're sending a formal, anything formal, don't use emojis. Because that's a more informal way, like when you're texting your friends, you can do that, but not when you're like you and your boss shouldn't be best friends. Like you should never send emojis to somebody important. And then the last email, it's pretty self-explanatory why it's bad. Just the wording is not proper.
Calling your professor bro.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Probably shouldn't do that.
And calling his class stupid, probably shouldn't do that either.
How many of you in here think you've got lots of room to improve on either your texting? And texting is different than emails because you're texting your friends and you know your shorthand and all that kind of thing. What about just on emails? How many of you think you need to clean up your act? That you're too careless, you have your punctuation is right, sentences run together and all that kind of thing? I'm not talking about typos because we all make typos, but I'm just talking about that you aren't careful about that kind of thing. Because Mr. B mentioned that, and I see a lot of emails from students that are now in college, students that are now in college. I can see the same kind of things here. If everybody's in a hurry and it gets sloppy, and if it becomes a habit, then when you go and you're talking to an executive or you're trying to apply for a job, that stuff bites you. Tom, this is one of your big things. We see so much of it.
Yeah, first of all, there's different levels, and so to Nikki and Amelia's point, I would err on the side of caution, because if you make a spelling error or a grammatical error on a resume, you're done. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it's to or what it's to. That's an absolute no-no. Any HR department will immediately cancel you out. So that's when it's like, I can't misspell a word. Yeah, you gotta go over that thing 50, 100 times until you have to let other people look at it. Take it to a professional, a teacher, an English teacher. Whatever you gotta do to make sure it's 1,000%, okay? Then there's other levels. So the level is, it's a professional or it's somebody you don't really know that well. They're kind of friendly to you, but don't assume. Just, hi, Mr. Trenga. Hope you're having a great day. Can you tell me when the bus leaves for the Mount Union trip? Thank you, Amelia. Okay, and that's it. That's a plain and concise way to do it, whether it's on an email or a text. And then the other no-nos are, to anybody outside of your friendly community, is the yup and yep and yeah and the one-word responses that is simply unacceptable. You're going to have to finish it. Yes, Mr. Trenga, thank you. Have a good day. By going yeah or yeah back to Mr. Trenga is not going to get you anywhere or any points or anything. And that's what you guys are here for. And you're here to do it properly and do it the right way, right? Even when you get into college with professors, they're going to be looking for you to do it the professional way. You may form a friendship, you may be friends with them, but don't forget the basics. Don't let it slide all the way back to where you are now, and you're communicating with friends and you start to get slang and cool. Leave that for another group of people, okay? So that's a word of caution, and the quicker you do that and the more you do it, that'll be practice for you. It'll be practice. It's second nature. We discussed emails 2 years ago. all of a sudden, I'm getting emails and texts that use that format I said with Mr. Trengan, and now it's second nature. Those students are doing it regularly, and it doesn't take a whole lot. It really doesn't take a whole lot. Use it as a challenge to practice, and make believe you're practicing for a test or something. Use it as a challenge and say, hey, I'm gonna hone my communication skills, right? Hi, Mr. Trenga, I hope you're having a great day. I need X, Y, and Z. Get right to the point. Thank you, your name. That is a complete communication. Okay?
And I'll add on that to an example that I did. I went and shadowed a law firm maybe a month ago, and Ms. Cusson gave me the email of the lawyer I was going to be shadowing. I sent him this long email. I explained myself, I explained the program I'm in, I explained what I want to do, where I'm going to college, and how it would be an honor for me to come and see what he does on a daily basis. And he doesn't respond, his secretary answers, and she's like, yep, like, come this day, this time. I'm like, cool, like,
Yeah, that's not,
Professional.
that's not.
yeah, and I'm trying to email back to her, and she's not really being professional with me. I'm like, it's fine, it's whatever, I'm not talking to her, I'm talking to the lawyer. And I get there, and he's not there. I mean, I'm supposed to shadow. But someone who works under him was there, and he ended up being younger. He just got out of law school, just started working there. It was great. I was there for like 3 hours. I didn't expect there to be that long. And he gave me his contact info, he gave me his card. We talked for a long time. I learned a lot. And on my way home, I get an email from him thanking me. And I was just, it was very weird to me, because no one, like, I came to him, he helped me, but he said thank you, that I made his day, I made me talk to him, and I didn't even get home yet to write him my thank you letter. And I just think it's important, you know, say thank you if you're going on an interview, if you shadowed or you did something like that, always write a thank you letter, they appreciate that.
Yeah, Amelia's absolutely right. We've probably sent, what, maybe 100 students through driver education training. I don't ever remember getting a thank you note. Now, I'll get over it, I am over it, but you just cannot do that. You can't do it. You get an interview, you gotta send an immediate thank you note. I mean, as soon as you can get home and get to a computer or on your phone or on your iPad, you need to say, thank you very much for the time that you spent with me today. Somebody does something for you. You need to acknowledge it. I mean, that's going to be the difference whether you get it or somebody else who sent the note.
And that's the point, is it differentiates you from those who don't respond in a very positive way. And so that's a real key one. Now I just got the heads up, we got a couple more minutes, and then you have to move to the next segment. I'm going to tell you a mistake I made once, and it was very embarrassing. And it was being done by email, and you know when you type in, like if I type in, go and type in Tom Venturella, all right, or Dennis, I have multiple people by that name, and so I'm in who's the email going to, pops up. If I just put Tom in there, it'll give me a whole bunch of choices. Sometimes it puts in Tom Smith instead of Tom Venturella, and then I have to catch that and make sure it's got his name. I was in a hurry once on a financial transaction I was making with a bank, with a gentleman by the name of Mark, my banker, and I sent that email, and after I sent it, I realized it went to the guy I buy my clothes from, and it had financial information in it. That was embarrassing. And I was an adult. I was retired when I did that. So make sure you check. Maybe you all have ways to check that. I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing something, but that you just gotta check before you hit that send and make sure things are the way you want it to be.
We all make mistakes, but what you shouldn't make a mistake of is treating communications like okay, I'm gonna be cool, and I'm gonna be part of my friends, and I'm gonna talk like them, and that's the way to do it. You should be outside the box, because that's what's gonna set you apart, Mr. Stanbuck said. That's what businesses and people are not seeing. They're not seeing the old-fashioned way of, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today, no matter what the outcome is. But I will tell you, I've made hiring decisions based on who sent me a note, who didn't send me a note, who, even promotions, based on people who appreciated what was going on and who didn't. So you gotta find timing. Don't get into the pitfall of, well, I've got too much to do, or I got this going on, or I got the schoolwork, or I got this. You gotta figure it out. You gotta put it on your priority. Okay. You guys.
Who's gonna be the leader to take them to their next site?
I
Nikki
will,
or?
because
Good job.
Mr. Bruner's here, so he
You guys look like you're itching to say some more stuff. What do you think verbal communication is?
Conversing between two people.
What is that?
Conversing between two people.
Oh, nice. Such a good thing.
Okay, so yes, all those things are correct about what verbal communication is, but the book definition of it is the use of sound and words to express yourself, usually in contrast using gestures and mannerisms. So it's not just speaking, it's also how you're conveying yourself in the conversation. So all the things that you're doing, you're going to be noticing some of the tips and tricks that they're going to be presenting and the things that we're doing. And also it is usually a conversation between two or more people. Other than that, you're just kind of talking to yourself, which, I mean, that's good to help practice your skills, but you are basically just speaking with yourself. Did anyone else have anything else to add about that?
Okay, perfect.
Okay, hello. Deanna's coming around with a paper, and we're just going to be hitting all the topics on this. But first, I want to say that verbal communication has helped me so much in my life. Some of you may know what speech and debate is, some of you may not know. I'm in speech and debate, as is Deanna over there, and we love it. It's the best thing in the world. So basically, we get to talk for 10 minutes at a time in front of people who are forced to listen to us. Actually, if they don't listen to us, they get kicked out of the room. It's fantastic. At the end of the tournaments, they'll give you stuff if you do well. But even if you don't get stuff, you still have fun. So speech and debate has changed my life because it's made me a confident and, I don't know, just I guess an outgoing speaker. I'm not afraid to speak in front of people anymore, and I think people notice that. Currently, I hold 3 jobs, and I just didn't get those 3 jobs by, applying for things, since that's not really how it works anymore. As Lisa mentioned, you get jobs by having good communications. If you can't talk to people, no one's going to want to talk to you. My first job was because I was able to communicate with my mother on how to get the job, but still. And then after that, I actually got offered a job after just talking to my employer, my now employer, a couple times after I went to a coffee shop. I would talk to her, and one day she was like, Sarah, you seem like you're good with people. Do you want a job? I was like, yes. And now I get free coffee, and that is why I'm so energized right now. Anyways, so that is just what I was kind of tricking you into seeing, that our first point is networking and finding jobs go hand in hand with verbal communication. It's so easy to get to know someone, and then through them get to know someone else. Like I said, I work 3 jobs. I know so many random people. I have so many random contacts, and I actually have been offered several other jobs that if I just had more time for right now, I would be able to take them, because I just talk to people, and for some reason, when I come in and I speak and they see a young person who can just speak to others, they're so impressed. It's not hard at all to impress your employer. As long as they're not stuck up or whatever. We all have some bad employers. But anyways, you understand what I'm saying. Okay.
Who here has a job?
Nice.
All right, there's you guys that don't. So this point right here with promoting business ideas and getting your message out might not relate to those people that don't have a job, but it can relate to whenever you're in a classroom. If you find that something that the teacher is trying to push on, there's a certain topic that she wants you guys to understand, but you guys just aren't absorbing the information, it's probably because of the way that they're communicating it, the way that they're trying to get their message across, you guys just aren't understanding, because the teachers nowadays, they have a different form of communication than the way that we do. Okay, we talk through Snapchat, through our Finsta, and through all those types of things, and those teachers literally have no idea what those things are. So they're just not understanding that we don't absorb information the way that they think that we do. So if you ever feel like there's a problem in a classroom or with your business employer, you can just like take them to the side and explain how you feel, and just don't approach them too mean, and we'll talk about that later. But just like try to get them to understand like this is maybe how you should communicate it to us so that we'll understand better.
Now we're going to move on to some tips and tricks for verbal communication. Do you want to say what we're
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Be friendly, okay? Don't come off as too standoffish or aggressive. Although you do want to make a point, you want to make sure that they are comfortable with even listening to you. If you come off like, this is what I want and I want you to do it now, they're going to be like, okay, I'm not listening to you at all. Please get out of my office. Please go away. So remember to always have a smile on your face and approach them nicely.
There you go. Another thing is that if you're sitting in a meeting and you see someone smiling back at you, like some of you are, the person who's talking to you is going to be way more invested into getting their message across, which then will actually, in turn, give them more energy, and then you'll actually end up listening to them more. It's a whole thing, but it makes a difference. Okay, second thing, think before you speak. It is so important not to make a fool of yourself in front of someone that you have to impress. And I'm not saying like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or someone you think is really cute. I'm saying like an employer. If you don't want to say something that they're gonna remember every single time they look at you. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've talked to a lot of my employers a lot, but there are still some that I don't talk to that much. So when I am around them, I'm like, okay, Sarah, don't mess this up. Don't say anything weird. Just be respectful, right? Get them to like you. And so and it's just a huge thing. Because if you say something, you can't take it back. You can say, oh, I take that back, but can you really take it back? No. So I really think before you speak. It will really affect your professionalism. It'll also affect how people think about you. The more considerate you are about what you're saying to them, the more considerate they will be about what they're going to say to you.
Going off of thinking before you speak, make sure that you're clear whenever you are speaking to them. Make sure that every point that you make is clear and concise, which is something we'll talk about later. But you just want to make sure that they don't get confused, because that's the main thing that happens with a lack of communication is everyone gets confused. So if you're clear, then they'll understand your point, and it makes everything easier.
This is kind of ironic, and I'm kind of going against myself, but don't talk too much. Right now, I get to talk so much because you're forced to listen to me. Thank you, welcome to our meeting. But seriously, if you're in a meeting, or if you're just having a one-on-one conversation with someone you're trying to network with, or get to know, or possibly get a job out of, if you talk so much that they can't get one word in, they are not going to care what you say. You want to make sure that there's an equal amount of back and forth, so that they feel like they're listening to you, and they also feel like you're listening to them. You don't want to just ramble on forever. Also, what she went off last time was being clear. If you talk too much, your first point will just get further and further. You'll just get further and further away from it. And I think you all understand if you've ever had an argument with someone, right? I don't know if any of you have been in relationships, but if you have been, if you argue about one thing, we have something really important that you want them to understand, but every time you talk about it, you just keep adding on to it, and you're like, oh, you bring this topic up. And then you bring this thing up, and you're like, oh, I didn't like how you did this one time. They totally forgot what you said the first time. They do not remember at all. And that's just instilled 10 arguments inside of one, and that's just so much information that's lost to both of you, and you're thus instilling more problems. That's just going to take a really long time to handle. So don't talk too much, unlike Sarah here, and just think about what you want to say, and also make sure you emphasize that you want to hear what they have to say.
So whenever you're coming forward to your employer or your teacher, you want to stay authentic to yourself, okay? Because they're around you all the time. Whenever you're in the classroom or at your job, they know who you are. So if you're coming to them with a problem or a comment or a concern, and you change your entire persona, they're going to be confused, and they're not going to understand, and they're going to not get your point, because they're like, why are you talking to me like this when I know that you are not like this? So whenever you're talking to them, you want to build a relationship with them, so you want to be authentic to yourself and make sure that they understand who you truly are.
Next, practice humility. Like Lisa said, it's important when to know when to tell someone about your accomplishments, when to say, hey, I'm actually really good at this. I would fit this job well because I can talk to people so well. I love it. But it's also really important to not make it only about you. there's a loss of respect when that happens. So if I'm talking to Deanna and I say something about myself, and I'm like, okay, now let me ask you something about yourself, you see? And then we can go back and forth. Now we're instilling a relationship. Also, I will bring that back, come back to my thought later. But anyways, so don't be too over the top. No matter how many awards and accomplishments you have, it's great. It's fantastic that you like that people know of that. But also make sure you want others to understand that you care about what they've done as well.
Whenever you're talking to your boss or your teacher, you want to speak with confidence. It already took you a lot of confidence to even build up the courage to talk to them, to set them aside and bring up a problem, but you want to keep that confidence up. If you immediately clam up and like become shy and like, oh, like maybe you don't have to do this, then they're gonna, like I said, be confused and they aren't gonna take you seriously. They're gonna be like, so you took the time out of my day to sit here and take time out of my grading or me getting something done at work for you to sit here and shake and like be nervous. So you have to have that confidence and make sure that you want to get your point across.
Next, focus on your body language. As you can see, with our situation now, we're all standing like robots. Sorry, thank you. We're all standing in a way that portrays that I'm speaking to you all, right? I'm also portraying with my hands and with my variation of my voice that I have an important message and I'm being declarative and I want you to hear what I'm saying. So I have big hands and I have a big smile and my shoulders are back, and as are these two. And it's getting the point across that I want you to hear what I'm saying, but I also want you to look at me. And it's different because you can tell that I'm not talking about anything sad right now, right? You think if I was talking about how something really sad happened, I'm not going to give an excuse because maybe one of you are actually going through that right now, is going on, I would probably be talking like this. You know, you can read the body language. That goes into the nonverbal communication, but still, like, talk respectfully and use your body language appropriately.
Be concise. Make sure whenever you go into that meeting with your employer or your teacher, you know exactly what points you want to make, and you want to make sure that you make them clear and you stay authentic to yourself, and basically wrap up everything that we just said to you. So make sure that you say things, you're precise and concise, and they understand your point.
And last, one of the most important ones is to learn the art of listening. Just for an example, if one of you were to come up to any of us or to tell Mr. Venturella, hey, I really like this part of the verbal communication, we would be like, oh my gosh, we're so cool. We did it. We got a point across to these young people who are so tired right now. I understand that. But it makes such a big impact on the relationship that you have if you understand and hear what they're saying. So I think I may have used this before, but I'm going to use it again. Deanna said something to me about her cousin, and then a week later we come back and I'm like, oh, hey, how is your cousin doing? Just in a random conversation we're having. She'd be like, oh my gosh, Sarah, listen to what I said, and that was really important to me. Thank you for hearing what I said, and now I have more trust. And it's all about instilling trust. If you're listening to me and I'm listening to you, our relationship, quote unquote, will be so much better. And this, like I said, doesn't just go for in the office or in school. It goes for anything. Young kids don't really know how to have good relationships because it's not something that's taught. But focusing on communication and listening will 1000% strengthen your relationship.
Okay, so verbal communication is very beneficial, and I know all you guys probably think, or some of you guys think, oh, I have great communication skills, I've gotten jobs, I've done interviews, all these sort of things, but always remember it always can be built upon. Just keep that in mind. Anytime you're going through life, just take from lessons and keep building upon those skills, because it can help relationships, like she was saying, it can help you get jobs, and it also can destroy it. And we're actually taking interpersonal communications class right now, and there's so much stuff that I'm learning that I thought I knew, or the things that I was like, oh, I don't really need to know that, but it affects everything that you're doing in your day-to-day life and how you're communicating with people and how people can perceive you. So just remember, whenever you're going through life, just try to learn things and don't just be like, oh, okay, I don't need to know, okay? Just remember that. And so right now, since we have enough time, we're gonna do a quick little activity. So everyone pair up with someone, and then one person's gonna just give a story, okay? And just talk, okay?
So we're just gonna just right next to each other. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and I will go with you. Okay.
Okay, and so you guys are gonna have 2 minutes, so one person's just gonna talk about anything they would like to. And you can start.
Yep.
Also, they're speaking to you, like not having you don't care face on your.
Yeah, so you guys mentioned a lot of good ones, but I'm gonna go over like six like main ways that you can use your nonverbal communication in any kind of situation, like even right now. Like I'm using it. So the first one is eye contact. So when you're sitting down with someone or talking to them, you want to make sure your eye contact isn't too intense, like looking at you. That can be a little creepy, especially if I don't blink. So, sorry. Or if you like just look at the ceiling or like the ground in your shoes, like you need to make sure you like find the sweet spot with your eye contact, which takes practice. Because I used to stare at people too. I'm gonna be honest, like because I thought that was more important, was like making sure I like zoned in and was talking to that person. But it can be creepy, so don't do that. The next is facial expression, which I think we said. But yeah, it's facial expression. So if it's like a light mood, you might want to be smiling or using your eyebrows a little bit, like show that you're interested. Because that can be more than like your words, like saying I'm interested. Use your body to show that. Or if it's like a serious conversation, you need to like relax your face, really like show you understand. So you have to judge the situation to move your face around. The third one is posture, body movement, so you said posture, which you should not be slouched. Well, when you're with your friends or something like that, it's okay. But when you're like in a job, yeah, in a professional situation, you should be sitting straight up, or you should not have like your arms crossed and be all crumpled up. I don't know. So it also shows how into like your involvement in the conversation, how much you want to be there. The fourth one is touch. So this might sound weird, but like you will shake hands with people, shaking hands, especially, or like other people if you know them well enough, or if that's just who the person is, they might hug you. Because there's some huggers you might get like a little side hug, you don't even know that person, but I mean, you might be in a situation.
Also, even like how far your handshake is, or like if you like rip someone's arm when you shake hands, that could be shown as like a sign of dominance or like different things like that. Like if you have like a weak handshake, they're gonna not take you seriously.
Yeah, that's
stuff like that.
That's one of the things people first told me. Like before I was at any interview, someone was like, make sure you have a good firm handshake, so you know you mean business. So yeah, it's good to have a nice it's good to be aware of how you touch that person, but even though you shouldn't be doing that much in an interview, but that's another important thing. And then your space with that person. So you shouldn't be like standing like really close to them as you're talking.
You also should be like,
yeah, you also shouldn't be like yelling at them from across the room. So it's another thing you have to practice and judge. Yes, the speaking. Also, like different cultures, some might want to be close to you. Some might get right into your face and start talking. You smell their breath. I know this is gross, but yeah, that's some things that as long as you're comfortable with it, it's something that they do culturally, then you should try and adjust to make other people feel more comfortable. Yes, and that transitions into gestures. The last one. So, gestures are gestures. You guys all know what that is. So I'm going to go over it. Just, using your hands.
it's like a handshake or
Any movement, really. But with different cultures, it's different too. So, if you're aware of who you're talking to, you'll know how to move your hands or how to move your body, or like if you need to bow or hug them, stuff like that. So gestures is really with all that, with eye contact, facial expression, posture, touch, space. It's just something you need to practice and be aware of.
So, are there any questions on those things that we just talked about? So, the next thing that we're going to talk about, if you guys don't have any questions, are the 5 roles of nonverbal communication. So, the 5 roles of nonverbal communication are repetition, contradiction, substitution, complementing, and accenting. So, repetition, it's just repeating gestures or whatever nonverbal communication you're going to use to like strengthen your message. So if I was really interested in what someone was saying, I would like nod a couple times. Or if I was trying to like emphasize that point important data, I would do that. And then contradiction. So that's just when what you're saying contradicts how your body is situated, I guess. So it could indicate that you're not telling the truth about something, and normally people don't like that. So if you're not interested in what someone's saying, but like, you know, you're actually like smiling and acting interested, that's good. But if you do the opposite and you like actually care, but you act like you don't, and like if we have a speaker at camp and you're just like lounged out in your chair, like laying back and not paying attention, staring up in space, then they're gonna think that you don't care about what they're saying. They're gonna think you're being disrespectful. Substitution is just saying that your nonverbal communication can substitute for what you're actually saying if you don't want to say something or you don't have to say something. Complimenting, it can increase the message that you're trying to say. So like how I'm using hand gestures right now when I think something is important, that's just helping my message become more powerful to you guys. And then accenting, it kind of ties it all together. It's just underlining the importance of everything. So
See, I see how like,
okay.
oh yeah, I like seeing. Okay. So next, I'm gonna talk about like how it can go wrong. Because we're telling you all these things, like to make eye contact, shake your hand, and to like use nonverbal communication to complement your verbal, stuff like that. But if you can overuse it. So that's another thing you really don't want to do, because it can send the wrong message to your interviewer or your boss or even like a friend that you're talking to. So nonverbal communication can't be faked. You guys, I'm sure you guys have had some kind of situation.
Have an interview again.
Yeah. So it can be faked, but you have to feel confident. You have to feel in charge. Because if you're faking it and you're like kind of smiling, kind of not, like you're like, I should be smiling, but I'm bored.
That's what like the contradiction, like how I said earlier.
Yes.
It plays into that.
So you really need to, if you have to fake it, which some situations you might have to, like you might have to act really like happy and entertained by whatever the person is saying, even if you're not, or even if you're, I don't know, you're zoning off. It's really important to be aware, like say, oh no, I should be paying attention. Let me show them that I am paying attention. So yeah, don't feel confident. Always have to be confident. And then don't try too hard, because overdoing it can sometimes be worse than underdoing it. And also make an effort to avoid sending negative signals. So nonverbal communication, it's something that we all do without knowing it. So everyone's used hand gestures and smiling and stuff like that. But if you're more aware of it, you'll know how to not send the wrong signals. If that makes sense.
So if we could like have people go away from this with 3 key takeaways, it would be to be aware of your nonverbal cues that you're sending out. And the second one is that nonverbal communication can be equally or greater in importance than verbal communication. And then to be aware of other people's nonverbal communication signals that they're putting out. Because if you're not aware of that, then you're going to miss out on a lot. And you could become offended and make a like, situation worse than it would. Yeah, so like I interviewed for like 10 different colleges when I was applying, and I didn't know what I was doing when I was going into it as much because my first interview was with MIT, and I honestly was like, I don't know what to do because the guy he was kind of like reserved and he wasn't as open as some of my other interviewers were. After that, I realized, and just to have to like kind of fake my way through the interview, it was difficult because I didn't know what I was doing. And like I had to smile when he was talking, but then again, at some point he would like start talking about serious things and talk about his family life, and like he would just like laugh at that and get sad. So like you have to know the situation and what they're saying and kind of really do it. But
During one of my interviews too, I only really had one college interview. The other ones, which you should, because that gets them to know you. Yeah. So anyway, the one that I went to was for Case Western, and I had an opposite kind of thing. The guy that I met with, he was really nice. He was upbeat, and like he used a lot of like smiles and like eyebrows and like hand gestures. Sorry. So it was really easy to talk to him, and I kind of just matched his energy, and I think that's what helped us get along. And like he'll talk about things that he enjoyed, like he talked about how he's he's into superheroes and things like that. So then I could be like, oh my gosh, I love superheroes. And I do, but like I don't know. Anyway, so it's easier to match their vibe if you are aware of it.
okay, so any questions